Hello, everybody. Looks like we're still waiting on Sean right now, I think, and Brian. I see Megan.
I'm here.
Can't hear Megan. Maybe your mic or something? Got a Bluetooth going? Or?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Are you able to hear me as well?
Yes.
Good.
I like how these Zoom meetings start out with this sort of seance. I think we're connected.
Can you hear me?
Allow me to adjust my lighting. I get a flashlight and hold it under my face and turn all the lights off. I don't have a text from Sean yet, and I don't have, I don't know, maybe he's might be on the phone with Brian. I don't see either one of them.
I'm right here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm in the
okay.
room.
Gotta see if I can see him.
Huh.
I have not heard from Sean.
He really is here though, Brian. I mean,
Yeah, right. I'm looking and I don't see him yet. Oh,
The cameras are mirrored. They're kind of hard. Like you go one way and they actually go the other way.
oh, yeah, there's
There you
there's
go.
Brian and
Okay.
Beth.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. There's Brian and Beth.
I know.
Are you ready for
Randy,
a close up?
What's that, George?
based on the communication from Sean, he may not be exactly on time. I think he's driving through a snowstorm.
I
I
don't
just
know.
crossed him over.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool. I wonder if we'll know by the look on his face whether he's driving through a snowstorm at this moment and zooming on his phone, or whether.
Is there a particular reason you're not in the shot?
Megan, I appreciate Megan your embrace of transparency here.
Okay.
Here, I can. I don't really like that angle.
Oh, it's... Hey, Megan, do you see Cass on there?
Let me go back to the attendees. Yes, I do.
Sorry, I couldn't abide that angle.
I crossed Sean over, but I'm also not seeing him on the list anymore. So maybe he lost service or something.
There we go.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Brian, do you need to do your hair?
I do not.
Here, I'll look at the camera.
Megan, I'm glad you don't have control of my camera.
Beth is the culprit.
Is it Beth?
What is this?
Oh, I'm so glad.
What kind of filters do these mics have on them in our computers anyway? None? No filter? John back there again in the waiting room.
Right. I crossed him over. He just has to accept it. So he probably will when I don't know if he's driving or what.
I was going to suggest if he continues to have connection challenges, we could proceed through the first two items on the agenda.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think I will be in public comment. So at this time, do we have any public comment? And this is Randy Wheelock, Chair of the BOCC, calling a special meeting, was noticed today of the Clear Creek County Board of County Commissioners.
I'm not seeing anybody in the waiting room raising their hand or anything like that, so.
Okay, if you have the ability to use the little icon and raise your hand, there's a raise hand button. And I don't see it either, anyone
Okay.
raising their hand. With that, next item on the agenda is consideration of approval of a letter of support for Clear Creek County Tourism Bureau's Colorado Tourism Office Management Grant application. And Cass is in the room with us. So maybe you'd like to give us the Reader's Digest condensed version of what it's all about. And
Great. Yes, thanks for having me and including us on your special meeting. We're excited. We're eligible for another grant with the Colorado Tourism Office. This one is a management grant, not a marketing grant. So it's geared towards visitor management. And we have found that a digital interactive kiosk would be very beneficial for the airlock space at 1531 Colorado Boulevard. We're still working on the vision of that space to turn it into a micro information center and partner with the visitor centers in both Idaho Springs and Georgetown to share information between the three of us and, to direct people to real live in-person staff at the visitor centers. However, this space would be unstaffed. So that brings a greater opportunity for a digital interactive kiosk to help guests and residents alike to have wayfinding services in that location. It is also adjacent to one of the bus stops, for the roundabout. So there could be some future alignment with that. And thank you to Beth and those that have been hired to help with, making the door, accessible for being open and closed during certain hours so that it can remain unstaffed. So far, we have a acrylic brochure case on the wall. There's a shadow box. There's also a flat mounted TV in that space. And then there's some ideas to add in some, bookcases, possibly a bench out front. And then if we added the digital kiosk, that would be a tremendous asset for the county. In addition to that, we are in the process of looking at the 2018 Trails and Recreation map that we worked with the mapping department on, and we think there's an opportunity to tie that into this project as well and redo that map, but make it more of a miniature information pocket guide for the county, and still keep that map, but add in some of the Care for Colorado, Leave No Trace principles, possibly QR codes to the Live Wild campaign, and really educate people on how to treat us when they're visiting the county. So I think there's a lot of amazing opportunity with this grant. It would be only a 4-to-1 match. So it would be a $5,000 buy-in from our organization and a $20,000 commitment from the state tourism office. So we'd be able to print about 25,000 of these maps / pocket guides and be able to spend about $17,000 on the kiosk itself. So it would be a great project for us. And the one important piece that we would need from you is a letter of support. As the landlord of the location, we are required through the grant process to have your written approval and letter of support for the project. And so I really appreciate your consideration for this, and I'm happy to answer any questions you would have.
so basically you described the finish, fitting out the space, and the kiosk is a portion of it. And that was about 17,000. And the rest would go to buy the brochures or buy the maps.
Mm-hmm.
The maps. Okay. And the development, my only comment, first of all, I support it. I support the grant and I support the work. But I do think that when we get down to trail maps, we want to make sure that we're pretty careful how we do those. And I know you're aware of the issues and stuff. So because I know in the past we've had some of those go out that have had some, and sometimes it was based on our own county mapping that was faulty, but we had some faulty information go out about certain recreational opportunities in the county. Just want to make sure that we're trying to do a better job of that as we go forward in the future at all levels of the county and working with the Forest Service and everything, so we don't accidentally. So would love to have of course, collaboration with our recreation department and everybody, and making sure we've got the info right when it goes out.
Absolutely. And those conversations are underway with Jonathan and Matt Taylor, and looking at the map and making sure that the trails on there are appropriate, or if we're missing anything, and then ensuring that the renaming of the passes and the mountains that have already passed are included also. And so I agree, it's kind of a large undertaking. And so we are still in the process of just reviewing that data. So the alignment of this grant is perfect in the sense that it would be a May 1st really start on anything to do with the project. So we wouldn't be able to print the maps before May 1st. So for instance, if the renaming of Mount Evans to Mount Blue Sky were to happen before that, that could also be included, and things like that. So, but yes, we'll make sure to work together with the mapping department and the recreation team. Randy, I appreciate you mentioning that.
Thanks. George, Sean.
Hey, this is Sean. I have been listening in the whole time, although I had to switch phones. Yeah, I'm in support of the grant application and writing a letter if that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, as am I. I have some questions that I'll ask offline just to satisfy my curiosity, mostly around, is what other locations did we look at for the sign? Is that sign mobile? As in if the resource center sells tomorrow, is this expenditure still valuable to us, et cetera. But I don't think we need to dig into that right now, because I know we have other stuff on this agenda we want to get to.
I think,
Well, thank you for your support. And really quickly, I'll just tell you, George, we're hoping for a 65-inch standalone interactive kiosk. So it would be very versatile and able to relocate if necessary in the future.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's all for me. Do we need a motion?
I think we do. So do I have one?
Move we approve the letter of support for Clear Creek County Tourism Bureau's Colorado Tourism Office Management Grant application.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and I'll just bring up one other item. I don't think it requires a vote today. A similar letter of support. There is what's called the Continental Divide Trail Completion Act. There was a request that came out from Joe Negus's office that we get on, first of all, if we can, send our own letter of support. But prior to that, even to express our support that can be included in a list of endorsers for their announcement this week regarding the bill. It's a bill that basically provides funding to complete at least as much as they can once the bill is funded, assuming it passes, the Continental Divide Trail. I support it, and I'm happy to add my name. If the other two commissioners do so, then we could let them know that they can list the Clear Creek County Board of County Commissioners to write. If we want to approve a letter, we can. There's not as big of a hurry on that. We can take care of that on the 7th if I have the letter written and approve that by then. So I just would like to hear from both George and Sean about whether they support federal legislation to fund the completion of the Continental Divide Trail.
Yeah, this is Sean. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll communicate back with Julie and let her know that that she can put down the Clear Creek County Board of Board of County Commissioners in all of our names. And in the meantime, we may pull our own letter together for approval at the next meeting. So thank you. The next thing we have on the agenda is consideration of approval of resolution 23-02, a resolution to approve acquisition of 4 mobile home parks in Clear Creek County. Prior to that open discussion, we have to discuss some things about it so we're informed properly. And that means we need to go into executive session. So therefore, I move that we go into executive session for the following purposes.
Thank you. Pursuant to CRS 24-64024A and E for the county attorney to meet with the Board of County Commissioners for the purposes of receiving direction related to the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of any real, personal, or other property interest in 4 mobile home parks currently for sale in Clear Creek County, and 2, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiators, developing strategy for negotiations and instructing negotiators with regard to acquisition of those mobile home parks. I'd also like to mention there will be another executive session, but we will announce that afterwards. It's on the agenda, however.
Yeah, that'll come after our action session. It's about a different topic, and we'll announce that after we get done with this session. I'd also like to mention that we're actually meeting at this moment, and both the executive session and this item that we're considering as the Clear Creek County Housing Authority Board at this time. So that's who's adjourning into executive session and taking up this topic. So with that, we will now go into executive session. No
We
written.
just need a second. Did we get a second?
No,
I was too busy talking and then interrupted.
Second.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Sorry about that. Thank you, George. With that, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will now move into executive session. No written minutes will be kept. No decisions will be made in that session.
And I did send a link.
Thanks.
link, okay. Can't tell if it's a
Got that pesky thing turned off. I see the room. I do not see Maria. I do not see Brian. I do not, oh, Brian would be there. I'm sorry. And don't see Sean yet, of course. I will state that we have returned from executive session. No written minutes were kept. No decisions were made. And we have concluded being briefed on the subject matter. So I see Sean and Maria now. So we're entering back into our regular session of the Clear Creek County Housing Authority from the Board of County Commissioners. And the item that we're taking up is consideration of approval of resolution 23-02, a resolution to approve acquisition of 4 mobile home parks in Clear Creek County. And I think we'll start with a summary of what it is we're being asked to do here today by Brian. I thought Brian was there and everyone was ready.
Seems not to be the case.
It looks like they're on mute. So that room needs to be unmuted. And I cannot tell if they're in the room itself.
Yeah, we can't, all we're seeing is the audience view.
We can't hear you right now, Megan. Your mic may be off.
Sorry.
Okay.
One of the cameras is also kind of blurry, which sometimes it gets like that. So
I don't see Brian at his desk. I
there's
see Amy.
Okay,
There we go.
you're on.
Yes, we can hear you.
Is Brian there?
To no volume.
All right, can you guys hear us?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, is Brian there?
Yes.
Okay, we just don't see him. Okay, once again, we're back in Board of County Commissioner and actually the Clear Creek County Housing Authority to consider a resolution approving the purchase of 4 mobile home parks for the Clear Creek Mobile Home Park Acquisition Project and delegating authority to certain contracts. And we'll start with Brian's going to give us a summary of what we're being asked to do today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As he indicated, the Housing Authority Board is being asked to consider Resolution 2302, which would approve the purchase of 4 mobile home parks for the Clear Creek Mobile Home Park Acquisition Project and delegate the authority to sign the various contracts required there. So just in a brief overview, back in the summer of 22, a portfolio of mobile home parks did become available in the county, and the timing of those coming online or on market, I should say, was a good one, in that there's a tremendous amount of federal and state money out there right now as it relates to housing. And these parks being some of the most affordable housing in our county, and that being a kind of a priority for the board moving forward with respect to how we might be able to address the issue of housing in our county. So today's action is supporting and authorizing the execution of purchasing contracts related to 4 separate mobile home parks, in addition to authorizing the submittal of a grant to pay for these said mobile home parks. So we have reached an agreement with the seller that totals $8 million. Again, the other action that you're being asked to consider today is the submittal of a grant that would fund up to $5+ million of that $8 million. And then also we'd be seeking funding from a nonprofit. The name is escaping me off the top of my head.
Impact Development.
Impact Development Fund for the remaining remaining funding of the $8 million purchase. So the intent here is to use grant money and a loan that would be paid off by the rents generated by the park itself, meaning there would be no impact to this county's existing fiscal year budget and ongoing budget moving forward. So that's the I guess the overview of the actual purchases themselves, what you're being asked to consider, and we'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Great. I think I would just like to make the comment that, and without giving a speech about the need for housing and all that kind of stuff, is that there is a practice in mobile home investment today. And it can be a fairly lucrative practice, but it involves the rapid escalation of mobile home rents by some parties, whereby they end up being able to acquire other people's stuff through default by raising the rents out of reach. We recognize, again, as Brian said, this is our primary source of affordable housing in the county right now, which is one of our goals is to create more. And so we're trying not to lose what we've got. And so this is for the purpose of stabilizing rent stabilization, for the purpose of making sure we've got stuff available for workforce and families in the county. Any other comments? Sean, George, anybody?
Yeah, this is Sean. I'll weigh in really quickly. It's a very, very small set of circumstances that would involve me approving something like this. And we are in one of those circumstances. Essentially, we're uniquely qualified to access, as Brian said, a pool of money that's been dedicated for this purpose. Staff has given us great details when it comes to pro formas, how this would work, pass for a longer term landlord, such as a multi-jurisdictional housing authority. No risk, no deal is without risk, but I think that, based on the large amount of capital potentially coming in from outside the county, that the risks are acceptable to me. So I think there's a very rich policy conversation that we're going to get into in the future. But I think for the purpose of our meeting today, I'm just going to say that I support this, and I look forward to that conversation in the future.
Yeah, and to fill in just on the tail end of Sean's, and I'll defer to George then, is that our contracts for purchase, everything, all of this will be contingent upon the acquisition of those grant funds. So in order to indemnify ourselves against ending up holding that bag because we bought the property and didn't get the grant, that is not the intent, and the paper's not written that way. George?
Yeah, thank you. And really agree with what both you and Sean have said, as well as staff. This has been analyzed very carefully and extensively. It's part of a well-known and well-functioning approach that the state of Colorado is taking using state and federal dollars. I want to just speak for just a minute about kind of the why. And so I want to just read some quotes from our 2018 housing needs assessment. So our 2018 housing needs assessment addresses mobile home parks as a big part of Clear Creek County's housing stock, and specifically the housing stock that's available for folks with regular jobs, and et cetera. So just quoting from that report, mobile homes comprise 12% of the housing stock inventory in the focus area. That focus area is everything west of the Twin Tunnels in Clear Creek County. They're a viable option when they're in well-maintained mobile home parks and when the homes themselves are well-maintained. It reads, Clear Creek County has experienced an influx of mobile home park investors. A few are reportedly raising rents, but not addressing the deferred maintenance, sanitary, and code violation issues. Now, moving to another section on page 28 of this document, mobile home park residents are at risk of rising housing costs when they do not own the land under their home. There are models that help residents take ownership of their land and therefore control their housing costs. Now, this is commentary from me. This obviously represents a real risk that we're starting to realize to our economy overall, as we hear from business owners increasingly that they struggle to find employees. And we hear stories in the community about people struggling to be in homes. So I want to read just one of those options that they talk about, different models that you can look at. They write, consider purchasing key mobile home parks when funding allows. The Yampa Valley Housing Authority purchased a mobile home park that was otherwise likely to be purchased for redevelopment. The authority reports success in preserving affordability, improving living conditions, and positive cash flow from the land rentals that are increased by only 1% annually and rented slightly below market. When homes are vacated, well, we don't have to get into any of those details. What I want to point out, the argument I'm trying to make here is that 5 years ago, this model was shown to be successful and was raising a lot of excitement around the state. In the 5 years between now and then, a lot of legislation has enabled this, and the American Rescue Plan has helped the state finance these purchases, which is what we're doing here. We're bringing our state and federal tax dollars home to solve a problem that is documented and with a solution that is well known, well understood, and has been executed successfully in a bunch of different communities. So thank you for allowing me to speak at length there a little bit. Wanted to get all of that onto the record.
Well said and very informative, George. Thank you. Do we have any other discussion? Sean, anything else from you?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, thank you. Do we
I
have?
did just, if I could, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention that in reviewing the resolution that's in the packet, I would like to, if the board agrees, when it makes the motion for the resolution, include one additional sentence, well, actually just a part of a sentence, some wording in section 2 that simply gives the county manager the authorization to actually execute and submit the grant application that will be needed in order to receive the funding that we are seeking. We had an earlier resolution 2301 that did support the grant, but I just want it clear in this resolution that the county manager has the authority to actually submit the grant application itself.
Okay. So noted. That said, with no further discussion, if there is none, do we have a motion?
I move we approve resolution number 23-02 to approve acquisition of 4 mobile home parks in Clear Creek County as modified verbally by the county attorney, Peter Lippman.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Speak now or forever hold it. None. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks, gents. Peter earlier mentioned another executive session. It turns out in the interest of time today, it's not critical that that be held today. Sean Wood is fighting his way back through blizzard conditions from the Arctic and is somewhere up that direction. Wyoming, that's right. Same difference. And is on the road calling in today from the middle of a blizzard on a highway. So thank you for being here, Sean. Appreciate the dedication.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad we were able to get this accomplished today.
Yeah. And with that, thanks to staff and everybody too. And I believe we are adjourned for the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.